Thank you very much for staying with us here on Prime Morning. It's great to be in your company. This morning, we're going to be taking you into our dailies and, as usual, discuss some two key issues that affect the economy right here on the show and bring you some in-depth analysis from our guests who will be joining us very, very shortly. My name is Nathaniel Atto. Glad your day and your week has started pretty well. And, of course, we're here to make sure that we start it off on a very, very energetic note. Thank you very much for staying with us here on the show. So, as usual, we'll begin with the Daily Graphic newspaper, which has some four key headlines. The first, is dealing with the president's tour, his recent tour of the Savannah region. And it says, Savannah region tour, President Mahama cuts sword for projects, inspects regional hospital and opens ICT center. And that story, the details of that story are on pages 24 and 49 of the Daily Graphic newspaper, capturing the president's exploits there in the Savannah region. Also, NEDCO reels under 5 billion funding deficit, VRA NEDCO staff claim. Now, the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, which supplies power to 64% of the country's landmass, is facing operational vulnerability due to funding deficit of more than 5 billion Ghana cedis. Now, this is because while the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, approved a cumulative 1.64 billion in tariff revenue for NEDCO over 3 years in 2023, 24, and 25, the Power Distribution Company have actually expended over 7.1 billion over the specific period. Now, the difference between the approved tariff and the revenue and the actual expenditure passed over the past 3 years has left the company that distributes power to at least 8 regions and parts of 3 other regions with huge power supply challenges in the northern parts of the country, according to VRA and NEDCO staff groups. The huge funding deficit has left power transmission infrastructure critically challenged, while maintenance issues remain outstanding. And this is according to some of the staff groups that the Daily Graphic spoke to. This obviously is one that it sparks a lot of worry, especially when it comes to issues of power generation. And that does not only affect the general populace, but industry as well. And in an era where we're trying very hard to woo a lot of foreign investors into the country, it doesn't send too good signals. Also, survey reveals high public trust in vaccines. So this story is on page 13. Now, that's a story by Doreen Hammond. The National Vaccine Perception Survey has revealed a strong public confidence in vaccines amongst Ghanaians, effectively challenging the perception of widespread hesitancy. Now, findings of the survey conducted by the National Vaccine Institute show that Ghanaians largely regard vaccines as life-saving interventions. Now, the local vaccine manufacturing initiative contributes to the broader African Union vision of the Partnerships for African Vaccine to locally produce at 60% or towards 60% of the vaccines that are needed on the continent by the year 2014. The National Vaccine Institute is mandated to coordinate and supervise all vaccine and vaccine-related research, development, and manufacturing activities in the country. We all do remember that the National Vaccine Institute was built, the building that houses the Vaccine Institute was built during COVID in record time. And all of this was done by Ghanaian contractors, and this is a very big feather in their cap. Now, in terms of the work, this research is showing that there's a lot of effectiveness and public confidence, and that also helps the cause to want to achieve that very important target of producing at least 60% of all of these vaccines that we need in the country. Let's go to Graphic Business. And Graphic Business says BOG pauses rate cut streak as Cedi comes under pressure. Now, the Cedi and its performance is also one very major area for concern for businesses and the populace in general. Let me read a bit of that, a story that was put together by Suleiman Mustafa and Elizabeth Nyedu Edu. Now, the Bank of Ghana has paused on its streak of cuts in the policy rates to insulate the economy from a deteriorating global environment as pressure builds on the Cedi, exposing the fragility beneath the Ghana's strongest macroeconomic recoveries in years. Now, the decision by the central bank to hold the monetary policy rate at 14% signals a shift in focus from domestic crisis management towards defending the recent stabilization gains against recent external shocks and currency volatility and surging oil prices to escalating tensions in the Middle East. All right, more details of that story on page 6 of the Graphic Business newspaper. And of course, it also tackles the issue of the city and the pressure it is facing at this time. Of course, it's something we will discuss into detail today. Also, Dr. Indum signals a comeback after victory in court. Now, this is a story by Kwame Prempeh. Now, businessman and politician Dr. Kwame Indum has signaled a renewed optimism about the future of GN Savings and Loans following a major court of appeal ruling that overturned the revocation of the company's license. In a Facebook post on his official Facebook post, I beg your pardon, Now, he indicated that he was going to start off the reopening of all of the branches, and of course, he was going to begin from the Elmina branch. And he made this announcement as well at the graduation of the Indum School of Business that was earlier this weekend. So Dr. Kwame Indum says that he's going to take it one branch at a time. Now, there's also a feature which is put together by Morris Kwanzaa on the back page of the Graphic Business newspaper, and it says, how Goldfields redefined sports sponsorship in Ghana. Now, it captures a lengthy run or a story of how Goldfields Ghana came in with a humongous sponsorship deal in the mid-2000s to ensure that the Black Stars shaped their dream of qualifying for their very first FIFA World Cup in the year 2006. And Morris Kwanzaa gives us the breakdown of how this has helped a great deal to lift the image and the marketing image of the Black Stars team generally, and also brought a lot in terms of relief to the team and its operations. More on the newspapers as we go through, and the Ghanaian publisher says Mali probes Adamus affiliate over tax violations, and that story is on page 3 of the publisher newspaper. Now, the government of Mali has opened an investigation into a sister company of Adamus Resources over alleged violations of taxes and duties, customs and mining duties regulations. Now, the probe targets Miko SA, Société des Mines de Kofi, a subsidiary under Adamus Resources Group, with authorities warning that the company risks losing its exploration permit if the issues are not addressed within 90 days. And that's 3 months for Adamus to ensure that this is done. Now, the IGP is warning all criminals that his outfit is coming for them, and this is following what the police describes as a major breakthrough in investigations into the murder of Nana Sewa Jan Kuma, the Queen Mother of Abamba in the Bono East region. Now, SA evacuation delay, minority blasts government. It has a picture of former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abu Jinapo. He's also a ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament and MP for the Damongu constituency. It says the minority caucus in Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee has criticized government over the postponement of the planned evacuation of Ghanaians from South Africa to Ghana, describing the development as deeply troubling and evidence of poor crisis management. There's also more on the Wuntumi trial. Now, the trial of Ntwi Buesia, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, is on. And of course, a continuing story says AG struggling to prove allegations. That story has its details on page 2 of the publisher newspaper. On the back page, it has nice, loud pictures of Arsenal Arsenal, the club finally and the players lifting their Premier League trophy, which has come for the first time in 22 years. That sure is a big sigh of relief. Massive celebrations yesterday across town. And I would like to say congratulations once again to all of the Arsenal fans. Now, 70%, this is the Inside newspaper, has quite a number of headlines on the front page. 70% of Africans back reparations, says Pan-African Progress Front. Free SHS Wahala. Mahama vows to end double track system by 2027. Now, the government has stated that it's expanding infrastructure in all senior high schools to increase intake capacity ahead of the phase-out of the double-track system by 2027. According to President Mahama, new dormitory blocks, lecture halls, dining halls, and auditoriums will be constructed to enable all students to return to the traditional academic calendar. Now, this is an assurance that has been given by the president, and we do know that the double-track system is one that has brought quite a number of issues, and in terms of executing it, that sure is one that has brought quite a number of issues. Of course, here with me in the studio to discuss some of the issues is Kwame Prempeh, Associate President of the Ghana Watch Initiative International. Kweku joins me this morning. Morning. Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. I have visited quite a number, and that's in reference to the inside story here. The senior high schools. I've been to quite a number of them, and you go in there and they're telling you, listen, we don't one batch of our students are at home at the moment, that kind of thing. And off the top of my mind, it also, in terms of its rollout, is defeating the purpose of these students growing relationships, growing networking, and also bonding with each other. I remember last year during the intercore competition at the Cape Coast Stadium, I was told by some of the sports masters that because of the double track system, they were unable to use or make use of some of the key athletes that they would have used for the competition. And they couldn't get them to train because of the double track system, they have to be at home at a certain key period of time.
I think good morning to our viewers out there. Good morning to my people back in Amasaman. And then, yes, this double track system emanated from a point where the then Minister of Education was thinking of how to utilize the facilities and then make it a year-long thing where when school is even on recess, there could be people still utilizing the facility. So they did a whole lot of publicity with it, trying as much as possible to explain to Ghanaians the reason or the rationale behind that. But then going forward, I think it has lived its purpose where, yes, it was supposed to solve the gap there. It was supposed to ensure that the facility accommodates a lot of Ghanaians. The chunk of Ghanaian students that after the basic education, they would not find themselves in the SS and all that. So they were thinking of how to ensure that a lot of Ghanaian kids were in school. A lot of us know that we had the infrastructure deficits. So rolling out such a policy with respect to the free SHS and then ensuring that if there's free SHS, then a lot of people will have, even those who did not go to school the previous years, would have to also come back into school. So we have to find a way of ensuring that these facilities were used and utilized properly. So this is why all these things came into place. But then I think that, or if you ask me, I'll tell you that over the years that these infrastructures have been used, it gets to a point where you need to build new ones and phase out that aspect of double track system where some will be in school and some will be at home, sometimes for 3 months. And if you're not a parent that would want your kids to also go into these private classes that people organize or teachers organize, you will find the kids staying back at home, and then if you're not even careful, some may even involve themselves in unnecessary teenage pregnancy things, and then will cause a whole lot of harm. So me, I think that the presidency coming out with a policy or trying to roll out or phase out the double track system is a step in the right direction. Like you said, we went to schools where we met some good colleagues who are seniors who were even leaving, but then the bonding was there. We got to know them and all that. And tomorrow, you find them in some corporate offices. You could speak to them, strike, if you may, some sort of relationship here and there. But with this one, it's very difficult actually, because by the time now I think the Form 1s are home, they are on vacation, and then we have the Form 3s and then Form 2s in school at the moment with the double track system. By the time the seniors face off, then the Form 1s will come in. The bond is not even there, you see, and we need to ensure that some of these things, there's enough or adequate infrastructure, enough teachers out there to ensure that if we are facing off the double track system, what will make the single track system effective is that, one, there must be enough infrastructure. 2, enough teachers to teach the subject areas, and then also ensure that there's enough dormitories to accommodate students that are going to be in the boarding houses and all that. So if government would prioritize education and then ensure that we have some of these things, I think we are in, it's a step in the right direction.
Well, Kweku Dubahiman is the Associate President of Ghana Watch Initiative International, joining me this morning. A few of our guests joining us later on for some more discussions here on Newsflash on Prime Morning. We're expecting your messages as well on the various subjects we're discussing this morning. More on the newspapers before we wrap up with them. Now, The Insight also has a very interesting feature on the Chief of Staff, Honorable Julius Debrah. Now, it says, the architect of tomorrow, the Julius Debrah factor. And it delves into Julius Debrah's strengths as a leader, and what he brings to the table in terms of governance. That story is on page 11, and it will make a very, very interesting read, And also on page 11, it carries the unfortunate story of the passing of one pilgrim in Mecca, and in Islamic terms, anybody who dies during pilgrimage has a certain element of holiness and spirituality around his death, and has a lot of positivity, in as much as it is a very unfortunate and sad curve in life and in the story of life. It has its very big significance for anybody who's performing, the pilgrimage and dies in that process. So we pray for Allah to purge him of all his sins and receive him. The name is Musa Cedi. He's a 53-year-old man, and he died in Mecca. All right, so the Economy Times has a main headline that is also focusing on the Bank of Ghana, the central bank, and it says, BOG to set up first non-interest bank soon, as 2 industry experts are appointed to NIFAC. Now, I'll read a bit of that story to you. Now, the Bank of Ghana is set to issue its first operational license for a non-interest banking institution before the end of this year, 2026. The milestone follows a rigorous regulatory process designed to seamlessly weave alternative finance into the nation's existing financial infrastructure. Now, the central bank governor, Dr. Johnson Panditi-Siama, revealed this during the Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee press briefing last week, responding to a question regarding how the new framework would deepen financial inclusion and blend into Ghana's liquidity management. Dr. Siama expressed immense optimism, and he says, this is a quote, "That is something dear to my heart. And we are all waiting to see the launch of the first non-interest financial banking institution. And a lot has been done, and hopefully this year we will see the first license." And that sure should come as great news for a lot of businesses. And of course, I'm looking forward to what will constitute the terms for engagement for most of these institutions or these businesses that will make use of the services available with these non-interest financial institutions. Kweku, this sure should be a very big and important intervention, having a non-interest financial institution.
You see, this is one of the few things that some of these foreign companies are thriving on. We have companies which have their ties to Syrian or Lebanon backgrounds, and then a lot of these things are practiced in the Islamic countries where there's a non-interest banking facility that you can easily pick, invest in your company, make sure that you do well, and then you pay them back their money. So there's no interest fixed on it. We've had some of them in the past, like Sahara, which came in and then they tried to start some of those things, but it did not work.
And that also brings a bit of concern as well. While we're very optimistic, you're also looking at sustainability and how the framework generally or the system generally has its shock elements that can cushion you, or cushion elements that can cushion these banks when they start operations.
Definitely, I know the Bank of Ghana is coming up with their modalities. And then if you find yourself in the financial sector, you should know how to operationalize your system and ensure that in as much as you are giving facilities that are interest-free, how do I sustain my business? How do I pay my workers? How do I ensure that we keep on running as a company? Maybe, just maybe, we should be taking a cue or learning from some of these Islamic countries and how they ensure that this works.
Very well, very well. Let's do some more over here. Let's quickly take a look at the remaining newspapers, and then we can go into the conversations for today. Today we're throwing focus on the financial sector, throwing focus on the cedi and its slump in the half year, and some of the causative factors, and of course do a major look into the future or the immediate future and what it all holds for the cedi and its stability and its growth as well. We'll also be taking a look at the women's banking institution and everything around it and what kind of contribution it can make to the economy in general. We'll be looking at all of that right here. But two more newspapers to quickly review. Now, contract mining costs Ghanaian taxes and workers' rights. This is according to a study, and this is a news desk report from the Economy Times. And it talks about the whole conversation about nationalization of our mines and some of the realities that confront Ghanaian entities that look forward to operating in that sector. Do remember that this is a very, very, it's a very, very capital-intensive area and also requires a lot of specific or specialized expertise to run some of these mines as well. So there are big conversations around it, and that is what this feature is looking forward to addressing. Also, we look at the News Guide Africa, and on this Monday edition, it's talking about the same thing. Contract mining costs Ghana's taxes and workers' rights, and this is according to a study. And of course, they've captured that story on page 10 of the newspaper. Now, there's also a picture of the CEO of COCOBOD, Dr. Randy Abbey, and it says Cocoa Board rejects claims of officials engaging in private cocoa buying as it overhauls financing with new domestic bond model. All right, so a lot in terms of interventions are being made over there at Cocoa Board by Dr. Randy Abbey and the rest of the team to ensure a lot of liquidity, especially so that they can take care of some of the backlog of financial problems that they have been confronted with in, the first quarter and towards the half year as well. Now, BOG to license the first non-interest bank soon. We've captured that story already. And NPA police launch joint crackdown on fuel smuggling illicit syndicate. Also, 2 Kaswa GRA officials praised for their exceptional client relations. Congratulations to these persons in Kaswa. Of course, it's not only about intimidating people to collect the taxes from them, but also making sure that they are doing this in a very good environment and understanding the processes, most importantly, when you're paying tax. For those who are, unchristened in that space. And the interesting thing here is that, most of these business people do not understand the tax regime. And sometimes it's important to have some of these officials engage with you and also take you through the processes and make you understand what kinds of taxes you have to pay, which ones are, which ones apply to you and your business, and where you can also get a breather as well. So congratulations to the 2 members of staff. I'm yet to figure out the page on which that story is, but you do know yourself, so congratulations to you. We're still on the News Guide Africa, and Ghana's tax architecture sees a historic reset, more data and enforcement driven, as new report reveals. And of course, it has the picture of the tax commissioner right there. Now, so more stories are on the back page of the News Guide Africa newspaper. All right, so that's it for the newspapers there. And also joining me this morning is the former Deputy CEO of the Public Procurement Authority, Kwame Prempeh. Good morning, Kwame. Good to see you.
Good morning, bro.
Yeah, looking fresh as usual.
Oh, thank you.
And what is it with all these balds and these bald hairstyles this morning? Madam said that you're a member of the beard gang.
But you know this one, we don't have a hand in it. It's what the Almighty has decided. We just comply.
Interesting stuff there. Yeah, we're just, we were tackling some of the issues that the story on the Daily Graphic raised this morning, and it'll be interesting to also get your thoughts. Now, the building of some new infrastructure for some of our secondary schools in phasing out the double track system. Now, we've been talking about the double track system and the thought behind it, as well as how it was implemented and the kinds of roadblocks that we have seen in the want to make sure that it is implemented successfully. Of course, there have been some roadblocks, and because of that, it will be phased out by the year 2027. More infrastructure will be built.
Okay, thank you. First of all, let me say a very good morning to the viewers, and also to everyone in the studio here. It's good to be here again this morning on a Monday, and good week to everybody. Also, again, I bring greetings from His Excellency, the Vice President, the former Vice President, Dr. Kwame Prempeh, to all Ghanaians. I think this is an interesting matter because, the double track was implemented for a purpose, right? And I think it served the purpose very well. Of course, there were challenges, that came with it. But I think the challenges were tackled, with the double track, and it helped get as many, young people as possible in Ghana to at least secondary cycle education. And of course, this was all brought about, by that implementation of the free senior high school, which for me is one of the, best policies that has been implemented in this country, for so many years. Yes, and, in itself, I don't think double track, is a very big issue. I think how it was handled and how the propaganda around it went is what has brought us this far. But I mean, when we were growing up, we had the day and then in the afternoon, school. Even at this particular moment, at the universities, they have evening and they have, day classes, they have weekends, they have people who do sandwich, so in the university, they maximize the use of the facilities as much as possible. So if we have a way of also maximize the use of facilities at the secondary cycle, for me personally, that wouldn't have been a big problem. But of course, how it is implemented and the fact that students were staying at home for a long period of time, did not sit well with many of the parents. And during MPP's time, let's say Nana Akufo-Addo's time, a lot of infrastructure in the secondary cycles were built. And I'm glad that the current government is also continuing with what was started before them. But at the end of the day, if the majority of the people in the country feels that children at that age should not be at home for that long period of time, so we should find a way to get them in school, I think we should go ahead and do it. And I think increasing the facilities should be sped up.
But of course, you do agree as well that keeping children of that age, for that long period of time also comes with its massive challenges. I mean, that's not even majority of Ghanaians. That's a general reasoning.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that we have to maximize the use of facilities, right? And that comes with it another challenge that children were staying at home for a long period of time. So if we have to solve it by increasing the facilities, I'm all for it. And like I said, MPP started with that. We built massive, I think over 3,000, improvement around the secondary cycles that were done under the MPP. And this government has continued. I think they should speed it up as MPP did. And because that was also one of their promises, to cancel the double track. I think they gave 1 year, if I'm not mistaken. They were going to do that within a year, and we're already in 17 months. So they should speed up the process and ensure that we cancel the double track altogether. But what I should emphasize that for me, the double track in itself is not a bad idea. Maybe the implementation is what we should have looked at. But for me, in terms of maximizing the use of facilities in this country, it's not a bad idea at all. But as you were saying, there were challenges, and we chose to solve it by increasing, the facilities, and that is what we are doing now. And we should continue with that one.
All right, we'll do more on that particular subject as we go along. Of course, we'll be looking at issues of infrastructure, at a later date as well, and look at what the whole situation is. Of course, it's very important that we also conduct some hard research on the ground as well to look at what the numbers and the figures are like in terms of the deficits, and also, what we need to construct and add to beef up so that the children have comfort in their respective studying environments. We're still here on News Flash here on Prime Morning. My name is Nathaniel Atton. I'm here with my two guests. Kwame Prempeh is the former CEO of the Public Procurement Authority. And of course, Kweku Edubuahin is in charge of the Africa Watch Initiative. Gentlemen, let's get into the conversation about the city and its performance so far. Now, one of the key things for the populace and for every regular Ghanaian, and I'm speaking as a Ghanaian. I mean, every time when government is working on the city and its stabilization, and you see evidence of gains made against the major trading currencies, the dollar, the pound, the euro, it brings a certain level of confidence and a certain level of, it takes away the inertia, and people are able to spend confidently and then make bigger plans, in terms of putting their respective personal budgets together. Now, we have a situation where the city is under very, very heavy pressure. And now we've seen that steady decline as well. I do remember that those who, sat back and didn't want to buy the whole conversation about the city making grounds and gaining some stability were saying, look, this is going to be for a very, very short period because some of the indicators will remain the way they are. So here we are. We're at this particular crossroad.
I know I fall into that category you just mentioned.
Okay.
Because initially when the Bank of Ghana had told everybody that we are putting in as much as $10 billion to sort up the cedi to the dollar equation and all that. I remember on your sister station, I mentioned this and I told everybody that it's the duty of the Bank of Ghana to ensure that the cedi is up there, it is gaining grounds, it's stronger and all that. But, you know, as a country, we have a forex deficit of almost the $10 billion every year. And some of these things, we can't run away from it because that is what it is. Because the private sector will keep on demanding for forex, so it will aid them in their trade. Companies you find in the energy sector, those who import fuel, AGOs and then the PMX and all that, need forex to bring some of these products in. So there's always a constant demand on forex. And in the very moment some of these things keep on coming up every now and then, there's going to be pressure on the cedi. You see, the cedi at the moment is performing at a rate of year-to-date rate of 10.28%.
Yes.
And we must come up with policies that will strengthen the cedi, because we are always going to go back to these things where there's always a high inflation when it comes to the demand and then the supply. It's hovering around almost about 40% with cedi dollar inflation, and then the forex demand, the economic challenges, where we as a country are doing so many things at the same time. You see, government at presently is doing projects, if you may, we talk of the big push, right? We talk of projects that, if you may, or you are not careful, might not be accomplished, because some of these projects that they are doing, they are not prioritizing them because they were part of their campaign messages. So they want to ensure that they are all done, and this, in effect, would worry our fiscal discipline issues, which I keep on mentioning. Because if the very moment government wants to spend, government wants to ensure that he meets some obligations and then responsibilities in the system, yet we are not tightening our monetary policy situations, we are done for. Okay. When we talk about the fiscal discipline, which we keep on mentioning, you see, we must reduce public spending. We must improve tax collection. We must prioritize essential projects. Okay.
And of course, essential projects big push projects are all under essential projects, isn't it?
They are, but do we have the funding for it? The very moment we talk about the decline of the cedi, we talk about the cedi losing its value. The things that are supposed to ensure that the cedi maintains that value of where, you know, last week we were talking, when we spoke to Prof, we was talking about our exports outweighing our imports, which we are not doing. Our forex reserves, are we ensuring that it is always up there? We are not doing it, if you ask me, because government seems... Have you gone through the Akosombo towards, what's the name? Japon.
That stretch?
That stretch.
Well, I haven't driven on that stretch in a while.
They put it under the big push.
Sure.
And then the road is under construction. Go through some of these Cape Coast, Kumasi, now we're talking about the single,
expressway,
the expressway, and then all that. All these things come, it's about money. Do we have the funding?
Well, the president has said that in terms of when it comes to the big push projects, there will be money made available. Money is available for, and that he has said on many platforms.
Niato, these are some of the reasons why we are struggling when it comes to the city, because we seem to be spending so much, but then we have little coming in, okay? And the very moment some of these things happen, we are not going to be disciplined. It's going to be public spending. We are going to raise, and then let us not forget that in as much as all these things are being done, we still have companies who are demanding for Forex to go and buy. Foreign investment is low. Our Forex reserve is also low. At the end of the day, we are still spending, and we have deficits on our book. I tell you, there's a lot we have to do if we want to stabilize the cedi to the dollar.
Very well. Thank you very much, Kweku. Also joining us this morning for the conversations is A.A. Gafaru. He is a member of the NDC, the ruling NDC's communications team. Gafaru, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. But first of all, let me apologize to your viewers for coming in late. I had unusual traffic. Of course, I went for a program. One of our colleagues, Dr. Samiaye, had a wedding, and I had to attend that somewhere in Eastern region. So I got tired, said that the fatigueness actually kept me in bed, and I woke up late and met unusual traffic. So I apologize to your cherished viewers. So
yeah, of course, we're taking a look at the fresh pressure on the Ghana, the Ghana cedi. This is something that the NDC touted, upon assumption of office. The stability that we enjoyed, look at the first quarter of last year. I mean, from the last quarter of last year into the first quarter of this year, coming forward. Now we're seeing some steady pressure mounting on the cedi, and it is something that analysts have predicted. Kweku was just telling us that this is something he predicted because the kind of economy we run is one that always will predispose our currency to these kinds of shocks at certain parts of the year or during the business year.
Thank you very much. First of all, I must very fast correct the misinformation by My Joy Online as far as the report is concerned.
Yes. So let me, before you go on, let me just correct that. So there's a headline. We're working to rectify it, and we apologize for that because the headline indicates that the cedi is the worst performing currency in the year 2026. That is not accurate. So we apologize for that. Please carry on with.
Of course, there's more to that. Clearly, in as much as the headline is clearly in congruence with the details of your reports, it doesn't also reflect the reality, even as you've tried to correct. In a sense that when we talk about sub-Saharan Africa, it doesn't mean, the entirety of Africa. It means from the Sahelian countries, Senegal, Mali, Niger, Eritrea, down to the southern part of Africa. So therefore, when you put the picture that it is sub-Saharan, of course it is not sub-Saharan. And when you go into the details of the report indicates that it is West Africa, not even sub-Sahara. So I think there's more that your producers need to do when it comes to that. And also, Even with regards to, yes.
So Gafari is saying the city is not performing well.
No, please, let's give
no, let's put it in context. So there's a headline. There's a headline on myjoyonline.com.
I think if you allow me to.
Yes, I will. What I'm saying is that I'm saying this because of his intervention.
Okay.
I'm saying that we do admit that that headline has a problem and it's being worked on immediately. The indication that the cedi is the worst performing currency in 2026 is not accurate, and for that we take the responsibility. So if you say that it's not the is he trying to suggest that it's not the worst performing currency, then you're not being fair to him.
I just wanted him to correct.
No, I'm coming. I have
this is political marketing and communication.
I have a data from Bloomberg that what they try to report, or Major Online tried to report, is with regards to year-to-date FX data. And of course, when we are even talking about the sub-Saharan countries, from January, as their data states, the worst performing was the Sudanese pound, followed by the Ethiopian birr, the Nigerian naira, then fourth Ghana. And when you check us at February, the worst was still the Sudanese pound, followed by the Eritrean birr, followed by the Malawian kwacha, then Nigeria, then Ghana fifth. And of course, March, Sudanese pound still, was still the worst. Eritrean birr was second, Malawian kwacha, then Nigerian. So consistently, when you check the data, it doesn't reflect what the details of even the reports from Major Online try to suggest. Okay. So if they could look into the detail, both the detail as well as the headline. Now, there have been periodic pressure on the city. Yes, of course. I wake up seeing a lot of tags from MPP on Facebook particularly. And that's why I have always maintained that it is important to always do comparative data analysis. Because if you don't do that, you will not be able to abort premature political goals that the MPP wants to score. What economy did we inherit? We inherited an economy in which the inflation was about 23%. Of course, we inherited an economy in which the exchange rate was about 15%, debt to GDP 72%, and then a whopping 750 billion Ghana cedis debt, total debt in nominal figures. And of course, today, as we speak, what does the data suggest? Clearly, inflation is down to 3.2%. The exchange rate is down and quite stable, though with a little volatility, 11.61 as reported by Bloomberg. And then also with the debt to GDP, it's significantly going down. So it's important to always do this comparative analysis so that we set the record straight. Now we have to ask ourselves why the Cedi depreciation. Of course, if you check, emerging markets is not, Ghana is not isolated in these circumstances. Emerging markets are all affected when it comes to this particular volatility in the currency depreciations. Now, when you check Bloomberg or even Reuters as cited by Major Online, it states that the reason for the depreciation or the slight depreciation is as a result of demand by corporate organizations for Forex. Basically, that is the reason. But we'll ask ourselves why. It is so because there is now increase in economic activities. Ghanaian traders now believe that it is important to invest their money in imports. People hitherto were afraid to import because once they import and then the shocks within the economy would, cause them to lose their money. Now people are increasing, and there are also new importers that are coming into the system because there's money in the system which creates opportunity for people to become investors. So this is one of the factors that is causing pressure on the economy, on the cedi, and that is what is causing the kind of shortage in Forex. Now, another aspect that we should look into, which should not escape each and every one of us sitting here, is the fact that we inherited heavy debts, colossal sums of monies that were indebted to other countries and companies. Now, we need to service the debt as time goes on. And in servicing the debt, we service the debt using Forex. So it also depends on the amount of money that you use to service the debt. Unlike in the past that perhaps you will use maybe 20 million Ghana cedis, 30 million Ghana cedis, 50 million Ghana cedis to service your debt. Today we are servicing debt in billions of cedis as a result of the mismanagement of the Akufo-Addo government. That is what is causing the pressure. Because if you look at the intervention government is bringing on board to ensure that we have enough reserve, to ensure that we are able to intervene when it comes to instances like this, it's significant to have been able to, absorb such pressures, not to even be part of the first 5 or first 6 when it comes to currency decline in the sub-Saharan African continent. But of course, what are we seeing? We have that obligation to service our debts as a result of their mismanagement. Now, if we are doing that and then there is shortage of forex, I don't think we should even have NPP people having the choice to come and then point fingers. No. We are correcting their mess. And the economy is still recovering. We have to all agree. You know, World Bank had projected our economy to recover in about 5 years. So if we are talking within 1 year, 2 years, and then things are getting better, we've had most of our economic indicators coming to stability. I think MPP should have the humility to applaud government interventions. But what are we doing? Currently, as we speak, the gold purchase program that is supposed to shore up our reserve to cushion us in terms of these times, we are doing it. So there's challenge. We appreciate that there is challenge. But of course, government is intervening. The Bank of Ghana, they have policies that they would intervene. And as time goes on, things would naturally come to order.
So last year by this time, the cedi had appreciated by more than 20%, and around this time we have a depreciation of around 8%. Now, Kwame, the NDC say, listen, you created a mess. We're trying to clean things up, and there are natural things that happen, in the course of conduct of business, and businesses are requiring a lot more forex, just like Kweku has told us. And this is something that happens regularly in this, import-based economy. And so you shouldn't make a big fuss about this.
Okay, thank you, Nee. When my brother started by saying that Joy, the news is incorrect, I was hoping he was going to say the whole article is incorrect. So it is the worst performing in West Africa, just not Africa, because we have Sudan, which is almost a failed state, has their currency performing worse than us. So we should clap for NDC. We have Eritrea, who have been fighting for decades, have a worse performing currency than Ghana. So they have done well. Well done, NDC. If that's who you are comparing Ghana with, then I think you are. I don't mention Ethiopia. I mentioned two countries.
But they are worse.
Ethiopia has been under distress for about a decade now, as we speak.
What kind of distress you have to
economical distress, industrial collapse. They also have their challenges in terms of security-wise. And because of that, AGOA was cancelled. A lot of the industries left. So they have been in a distress for a very long time. But if that is what NDC want us to compare Ghana with, and I think they are doing a very, very good job. But that is not what NPP wants Ghana to be compared with. We want to be compared with the best in class, not the worst in class. So if that's what they are aiming for, that is good for them. Now, you see, let's look at a couple of things, right? There's also, before I go on, there's also one thing he mentioned in terms of, businesses are demanding dollars now, so the economy is going well. And as you mentioned, last year around this time, businesses were demanding dollars. 2024 around this time, businesses were demanding dollars. 2023 around it, it's an annual cycle. It has nothing to do with the good work or whatever that NDC has. It's an annual cycle that around this time, that is when businesses will be mopping up dollars to go back and import. Now, the reason we are back here, right? We go here, every year. But the reason we are back here again, and it is going down this, with this pace, is because of the fact that the NDC was artificially, suppressing the dollar. And that is what we told them last year, that you can't go on forever. In 2023, when the first IMF review came, it clearly said that all the agreement that Ghana had made with the IMF, that we've made the agreement, and if we continue that way, we are going to put Ghana on the right path. So the fact that we are now exiting the IMF program, the fact that inflation is down, the fact that the dollar is doing well, started with the program that was agreed with IMF back in 2022, 2023. Now, the issue is that instead of staying the course, for the NDC, they were only looking at the numbers because they have spoken about dollar, so whatever it takes for them to push the dollar down, they have to do it. They have spoken about inflation, so whatever it takes to push the inflation down, they have to do it, regardless of the impact that it will have on the economy. Now, let's look at the debt to GDP ratio. Now, if you look at the nominal figures, so the actual figures in terms of debt, you will see that it has increased. You will see. But what has happened is that the dollar part of the debt, because of the exchange rate that has reduced, is now in the percentage terms to the Cedi, it has reduced. But in the actual terms, the dollar part of the debt has increased. Now, what is the impact of this? The impact of this is what we saw in the loss that Bank of Ghana did. Because we have artificially pushed the dollar down, it means our reserve that we have has also decreased. So that boils down to the increase in debt, or increase in losses that the Bank of Ghana, incurred in 2025. So we kept telling them that, in terms of managing the economy, you have to balance it. It is not only about pushing the inflation and the exchange rate down, but it's also about balancing your reserve. It's also about balancing your gold reserves as well. They had to rush and sell 18 tons of gold last year just to, close the gap of the losses that they made at BOG. So why do you come and sit here and talk about we are doing everything well? You are doing everything excessively. And that is why there was a need for them to remain under IMF scrutiny, for them to move from the ECF to PCI. Because if they are left on their own, the economy will collapse. So they still have to continue and be guided by the IMF for another 3 years as we move on. This is what we are talking about. You have to be, you have to be prudent when you are managing the economy. It's not just about the numbers on paper. It's about having the impact for the long term. Now, my friend here and also the rest of the NDCs are touting themselves in terms of increasing reserve.
Which friend of yours, Kweku, is NDC?
Oh, no.
Because you tapped him, so I was...
No, I mean Gafaru.
Gafaru, I was going to tell you to celebrate, add yourself to the Arsenal fans because you've won a new member. Because I got a little...
Gafaru is an Arsenal fan.
Okay. Well, I was saying you should just go and join them. They are the ones celebrating football. We'll convert him soon.
It's good that you touch on Arsenal. I mean, let's get some...
I don't know more about football.
I'm an Arsenal fan, right? And I've been an Arsenal fan for years. I mean, since I can remember. And since we won the league, there have been some people claiming to be Arsenal fan, and we've been telling them.
Was it Arsenal match President Akufo-Addo, went to watch during the economic, challenges period?
No,
Nanado has always supported Tottenham.
So that was the game.
Gafaru, I thought you said you were not interested.
The point that I was making is that as of last week Tuesday, we've closed application for Arsenal fans. We are not.
You've closed applications when you have a Champions League final coming up.
No. We have enough fans. So those, what? We call them 2-2 fans. Those glory hunters.
You mean Sebi? No, but
those glory hunters who want to share in our joy now. When we were crying, they were not there with us.
But I can't imagine that a fan group say they are enough, so nobody should come. That's very hostile. You need support for Saturday.
We of the One United fan club. Who have more than necessary fan base
in Asia and in different parts of the world.
We are not even telling people we are closing whatever.
They have to be careful because Saturday is a big day.
The point is, we've suffered enough. Now that we are enjoying, let's enjoy ourselves.
We wish you well. One of your fans, Mr. Kojotu, of Wiggles Night pub and then drink. A very fantastic Arsenal person. He doesn't even want to even take any listing from any other team. I wish you meet him one of these days.
Oh,
and then gel with him because he loves Arsenal to whatever.
So today, on a very light note again, Kwame is asking us to keep our well wishes to ourselves.
Oh, you can wish her well, but you can't join us. That's what I'm saying. You can wish her well.
Are you part of them?
No, I'm a Chelsea fan.
Oh, okay.
We
all supported them to win.
Oh, you, Chelsea.
We all, despite the rivalry, supported them to win. Now they are telling their...
What did they say? Every blue is blue.
Don't worry. But
okay, on a serious note.
Yeah, there are issues, that we also need to look at. One of them being the fact that the governor has come out to say that he wants to strengthen our reserves base and doesn't want to immediately intervene in the market, because of which we see all of these happening. So then at least there is a certain good reason for what we're seeing happening now.
But we told them last year that you can't continue to intervene. So they went as far as squandering the reserves that we had. We had built about 30 tons of gold before we left. They came and squandered 80.
What do you mean when we say they've squandered all the...
I mean, they have to close the gap of losses that they were making at BOG. So they have to sell it. And for me, the painful part of the selling is not just the selling, it's the fact that they sold it under market rate, under their own published market rate. That is the most painful part. That tells me there are two options for me. One, there was a rush sale that they did not envisage that they were going to sell it. So they had to rush and sell it so that they have to go under the market rate. So that is one. That's a plausible one. If that is not the case, then it means there is a kind of arrangement with the market where they are selling it less and then buy it high, which would be a crime. So I hope that is not the case. So I'm going with the first one, saying that there was a rush sale. That is why they had to go under the market to be able to get in, the buyers. Now, how do you sell 18 tons of gold and then 3 months later, you come back and announce that you are now going to ramp up your reserve? How? So the only reason is that they had to sell it to close the gap of losses that they were making. If that's not the case, then we have incompetent people, in the help of affairs managing our economy. Because you cannot have short-sighted vision, short-sighted strategy in terms of managing your policy rate. So, what I'm saying is that what is happening now, NPP, we told them last year. Now they've realized that you cannot continue to put in the dollar. Now, they can't do that because the losses that they made last year, they can't bring it into 2026 as well, because you can't continue to make these huge losses. Previously when there were losses and we went to the IMF, we cleaned up the place, and then you can see that the losses decreased all the way to about 9 billion before the NPP left. And this is not the only measure they are going to take. They are also going to touch the cash ratio reserve. They are going to touch that one as well, especially the dollar one. We implemented a dynamic cash ratio reserve where every dollar that the commercial banks had, we converted to cedis and then we applied the dynamic cash ratio, right? They said the banks were crying because they were not making enough profit. They came in, cancelled it, so the dollars were kept apart, with the cedis. What happened is that then the cedi that they had, the bank had, they were then buying BOG bills with it and getting profit from it. We have set the dynamics that if you don't work with your money, so if you don't lend your money, it means the Bank of Ghana has a right to take more without, paying you interest. They cancelled that. I think they put it about a minimum of 10%, where we had all the way up to about 25%. The results were about 16 billion losses that the Bank of Ghana made last year. Now they've cancelled it. Now they've gone back to what it used to be. And what is now going to happen? Now the banks, the commercial banks, have had a taste, of making these profits. So what they are going to do is that they are going to charge, or they are going to increase the charges of their services just to keep their stakeholders happy. That's what it's going to do. You will see in the coming days, you will see the bank charges increasing. You will see that banks will try and reject your dollar when you bring it to them, because it's going to cost them money when they take your dollar. Because when they are keeping your dollars, the Bank of Ghana is going to convert that dollars they are keeping and it's going to affect the cities that they are working with. So we see that they will be limiting the amount of dollars that they take in, and they will be increasing the charges of their services. These are all the kind of improper policies that NDC try to implement, and it didn't work. Now they are going back to the original one.
Well, Gafaru, Kwame says you've implemented policies that were clearly not going to work from the word go. What's your response to that?
Is Kwame and the NPP our benchmark when it comes to managing the economy? No, not at all. They were given the opportunity for good 8 years. And what they could do is to push Ghanaians into excruciating hardship due to their economic mismanagement, profligacy. In fact, they overburdened the country with debt. So today, the fantastic economic management team who sank us deep into the hole are those who are, in fact, at the end who were on stretcher to the IMF. They are those who are now to teach us how to manage the economy. I think that, me personally, I think that when we are discussing economy, NPP should not be given the podium. They shouldn't be given the platform to discuss economy. They should allow us. We have a social contract with the people of Ghana. So, who gave us overwhelming endorsement? Who gave us overwhelming endorsement? And of course, as they've given us overwhelming endorsement, and they've given them just 28.2% as a no confidence vote, should tell them that they should sit aside and allow us. We have 2 years more. I'm coming, Kwame. We have 2 more years to execute the mandate given us. They should keep quiet and allow. They should sit by the sideline. If you are a coach that has gone on relegation, there's no need you sitting on the sideline and be talking about who to feature in and how to do your formation. Not at all. So now, when he was making his presentation, he said that, we are comparing, to say that we should compare with our peers when it comes to the decline. Of course, Ethiopia and Nigeria are our peers. Of course, even Nigeria is having bigger economy. It's a bigger economy. Ethiopia is a bigger economy to Ghana. But of course, they are facing similar challenges. So in West Africa, we have to make it clear to Ghanaians, it is year to date. So when you check January, February, March, and then April, we were ahead of Nigeria. I am sure I had conflicting data when I was checking, cross-checking. Other data shows that Nigeria is even worse in West Africa. And we are second when it comes to the weakest, in performance. So it is not that we are just doing bad. And Cedi depreciation doesn't mean economic collapse. Back in the days, Fitch rated as junk economy under them. Junk, are we rated junk? Of course, they have increased, upgraded our rating to be positive. Moody's to be, but with positive outlook.
Okay.
Moody's have also upgraded us. Standards and Poor equally upgraded. So if we are talking even about economic rating, we are far ahead. So we are not just peers. NDC, NPP, we are not the same when we are talking about economy. Now, he also mentioned that, the debt, trying to play gymnastics with regards to the nominal figures and then debt. Let's ask ourselves, what is the debt to GDP today? You left it 72%. It has reduced significantly. The last time I checked, it was 70%. So when we are talking about, you are claiming that we've increased the debts in dollar terms to what and what. Let's look collectively. It will come, the debt to GDP is what we are going to point at. Now, he mentioned that they left about 30 tons of gold and we came and dissipated it. The question we should always ask ourselves, why do we have reserves? Are reserves not supposed to also, one of the reasons is to cushion us? Or if you have money, and then you are hungry, then you fail to spend that money, then you get ulcer, or you run into hypoglycemic.
So last year you
ran into hypoglycemic shock.
I want to ask.
As so a result of anger, when
you sold it.
You were doing well, but as
why
part
do you sell
of
it?
What I'm saying is
when you are doing well?
As part of the intervention, we needed to intervene at that juncture because of what you left.
What did we leave?
The junk economy you left us.
After 9 months.
So it is.
You said
it is part of our economic management
and then you said
strategy.
We left you something.
And the figure shows. My uncle Dr. Bramwell said when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate would show you, expose you. Today,
So you have been exposed now.
check the exchange rate to tell you that our economic fundamentals are good. Are good. So we shouldn't have reserve and then say that no, we should leave everything, in our bank or reserves whilst Ghanaians are suffering. No, it is strategic. Today, if we want the cedi to get to 9, cedi to $1, we can do it. We have the reserve to be able to do that. But as part of management, you don't just intervene. You look at the circumstances and then also have your projections. Intervening this time around, pushing for us into the economy, is it better or allowing it as far as we are not getting worse because we've not even moved to 12 cedi to $1? Unlike you moving to 17 cedi to $1. We've not even gotten that close. So why cry wolf? Why cry wolf? So basically, this is what the formula of my uncle Dr. Bawumia is. When the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And that's why I said cedi depreciation doesn't mean economic collapse. We are doing fairly well as an emerging market, and we expect this kind of shocks. They will come because we are coming to reset the country. We are coming to reset the economy. And these are part of the challenges. But let's give our time. Ghanaians, they've given us, we've signed a social contract. They've given us 4-year mandate. Of course, they are going to leave us in power in perpetuity whilst they are left in opposition for eternity. Let's see how we are going to run the economy. And the Ghanaians are the people to judge.
Well, I see you smiling. The NDC say, but the NDC are saying something that is fact. They say that the fundamentals are strong, the figures show, but then currency is depreciating. It doesn't mean the economy has failed.
For me, all these that both NDC and MPP are talking about, it's about the Ghanaian, the ordinary Ghanaian out there. How well is the ordinary Ghanaian out there doing? Are they being able to purchase the bread and butter that they want? Are we able to ensure that it will not be increased, the price will not be increased, and all that? That is what for me, I think about the ordinary Ghanaian out there. You know, Gav, when he was talking earlier on, talked about ensuring that gold will sort up the cedi and make sure that
We have enough reserve.
We have enough reserve and all that. And then the very moment he mentioned gold, my heart skipped a little bit because it means that Niato. But Galamsey, we can never run away from it too. Which means we will need more gold coming up from every other angle so that
This is not accurate. This cannot be accurate. So do you mean we only get golds from Galamsey?
But gold is buying from Galamsey.
Don't we have
gold is buying from small wine.
How? What's your proof?
Gold is only.
Okay, we've gone on, gentlemen. We've gone on this subject for a while, and like I said,
what's your proof?
I mean, the reason why I always keep coming in when this comes up is that yes, we say that Gold Board is buying from other sources. Now we need to have the proof. Tell us that this person has gone to sell from an illegal mining site and has made this amount of money.
Absolutely.
Is this fair? I mean, just so. I hope I'm not heckling anybody. I'm not. I'm just asking a very simple question.
It's a legitimate question.
Yes,
it's a legitimate question. But then when it comes to the sale of some of these things, you will not have anybody going. Gafaru will come and sell gold from an illegal mining site and take pictures of it.
Okay, you bought this your phones from Circle.
But if we say
you bought this your phones from Circle, is that speculation right?
Yes. So now we're speculating and we're using
who said?
And they also sell good phones from Circle.
And so
when I say you bought this phone from Circle, the phone snatchers, because they sell. I mean,
but these ones cannot be bought from phone snatchers. You know that.
How? I can buy this your phone from phone snatchers. But how would you will decide? No, it's not true. This one is from, I mean, a shop that they do, I mean, legal sales.
Okay.
You understand? And show me your receipt. Now go to Gold Board. They will show you the receipts from the tier 1, tier 2, and then the aggregators. They will show you the receipts that these are the process. I mean, gold that have been bought from licensed buyers.
You should make us, we are out there. Let us understand that we are out there. I mean, we're conducting research and all that, and then we know some of these things are happening.
The game is evidence. What's your evidence?
Oh, so I should bring you pictures and all that.
Oh, absolutely. Gold Board is buying from a Galamsey. That's what you are claiming. Gold Board is buying from a Galamsey.
Do you know
this is the evidence?
You talk about the tier 1 buyers and all that. Do you know how they get there?
They buy from I mean, small scale miners, legal miners, and then large scale legal miners. The receipts are there.
We will not say any. I'm not going to continue.
Oh no, we'll prove. This is what I have. What are your
tier
proofs?
1 buyers and then all that buy from some of these illegal.
What I'm saying
I'm not speculating. I'm telling you the truth.
No.
That this is the reality.
No. We can't see. But I'm yet to see any hard evidence on the ground to that effect.
Okay.
Because you're saying, so that's why he gave you that example. I'm just watching all of you and listening to you, throw at each other. And I'm saying that we say, or we are alleging that this is what is happening. Now, where is it? Who has gone to sell illegally mined gold to Gold Board?
So like I allege that your phones, you bought them from phone snatchers. What is my evidence?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Gafaro, can I come in?
You can come in.
Okay. So
but don't speculate.
I'm not speculating.
Oh, Gafaro.
There are a couple of things that we are going to establish here, as if we were in a courtroom, right? You know, in the courtroom, sometimes you can use circumstantial evidence without having the actual evidence. Is that not so? Okay. Now, Gold Board has forbid the sale of gold to any other entity in Ghana. Is that not so? So Gold Board is the sole entity that buys from small-scale miners.
Exactly.
Is that not so? That is a fact. 2, Galamsey has increased since NDC came to power. That is a fact. All those journalists that have gone outside have come and confirmed it. It has increased under NDC.
No, that's not true.
Everybody has confirmed it. That is a fact.
Not everybody.
Now, 3.
How have you confirmed that?
3.
So Erasmus.
You mean Erasmus?
Yes, Erasmus has confirmed
They said it's happening. They didn't say
it has increased.
But our water bodies have improved.
Increased. Where? Which water body? Mention one. Which one?
You are not aware.
No, you mentioned
the turbidity level has improved completely.
Which one?
And Cobra.
Oh, Massa. Stop with the lies.
Check with
EP. You see, those are 2 facts that you established.
We'll send people to go and check.
3rd fact is that President Mahama in September, right, when he was bemoaning about, Galamsey, what did he say? Even if the Galamsey has gone up, at least it is helping us help our city stabilization issue. Is that not a fact?
Quote him rightly.
I'm paraphrasing, so you can quote him if you want to.
He never says.
But this is exactly what he said. And that is a fact, number 1. So if all these facts has been established, where is Gold Board getting the gold from? How many Galamsey miners, small-scale miners do we have, and how much are they producing?
You tell me.
What I'm saying that it's a proven fact.
Tell me. Just tell me.
No. So the gold that is being mined.
If you come here and tell me that you have produced XX and Y amount from tier 1, gold miners or
buyers.
Buyers. Yeah. Then you tell me from XX and Y, and this is the data. So that's what I'm asking Kwame to tell me.
No, I'm even asking Kwame.
We might not have. You see what? We might not have those figures you want, but the harsh reality is that these things are happening.
You see where they would have been right, but of course they fail to look at the other aspects is when they say Gold Board is the sole buyer of gold. So where is the Galamsey gold going?
Exactly.
But what you have failed to I'm now going to answer that so that next time you won't say this. Where you've forgotten that there's still gold smuggling. Have you forgotten?
In Ghana. People smuggling
we have
gold out of Ghana.
Porous, what is it, borders. Go to Upper East and see. People smuggle gold across Burkina. People smuggle gold across.
Do you have numbers for that one?
No,
do you have evidence?
No. That's what I'm saying.
Do you have evidence for that one?
No, that's why I'm not speculating. That,
do you have evidence?
So
you are saying that.
Yeah, I have evidence that.
Where's your evidence?
The gold that Goldboard is buying. The gold that Goldboard is buying. I have evidence that we have the receipts from.
You are saying
from legal, small scale legal miners, large scale legal miners. Through our tier 1, tier 2, and aggregator, we have
and that is why we don't solve this problem.
So when you go to Goldboard, you get the
receipts that are supposed to solve this problem are pushing things under the rug. That they are creating these receipts when everybody in this country knows that they are buying from illegal miners.
How?
But then you create no.
Everybody in this country, including Kweku here.
Everybody who lives in the Galamsey area.
Yes.
If you ask everybody who lives in the Galamsey area, they will tell you where the gold is going.
Where?
Okay, so we'll
have you
yes.
Okay, so until that is done, I beg, let's not.
Then you
let's not admit that.
My interest and that of my listeners and viewers are that once we're saying it, we're producing the evidence. Just like my colleague Erastus has been going on the ground and bringing us hard evidence, so
clearly it has not stopped. No one is saying Galamsey has completely stopped. If we were talking about, I would say it. Yes, it hasn't completely stopped.
It has increased.
It will take time for us to fight and then win that.
Very well. Let's just quickly get on our message console. And there's this one here. It says, good morning. Is it only the NDC that has the president going on a tour different from the chairman's store, Cephas Logic in Peve Newtown Healthcare? Okay, thank you very much, Cephas, for that message. I remember that short video on social media this weekend where the education minister, the education minister was,
the person is off track.
Yeah, but I have to relate it. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, I thought
you wish we.
I thought you are reading messages on.
And then the chairman is on.
No, I thought you are reading messages on the topic.
But we're slipping all of these in.
No.
When you came, we spoke about Arsenal. You said you are not a football fan, but you spoke about it.
But you spoke about Tottenham.
So this one is from Aaron in Latibia Okoshi. Good morning. The deployment of disguised armored buses by the Ministry of the Interior represents a highly sophisticated preemptive tactical shift against highway robbery, offering immediate security enhancement for high-risk transit routes to maximize the long-term efficacy of this deterrent strategy. The government must institutionalize this initiative into a sustained data-driven security policy, then allowing it to become a transient short-term operation. Okay, so this is something we will be tackling soon, when we get into security and safety. We'll be tackling all of these soon here on the show so that we delve into it, look at some of the incidents that have happened and look at some of the some of the interventions that have been made by our security agencies. Of course, in relation to this, I read you a headline in one of the newspapers where the IGP, Christian Tete Yohuno, was warning and deterring all armed robbers and giving them a signal that he and his team are ready and will fish all of them out. All right, so a few more before we go. Now, Teacher Kujo in Tepa, in Yenasuyaso, I hope, in Yenasuso, yes. Thank you for the correction. Exiting an IMF program that was close to completion anyway was not an achievement. Talk about the real issues that are affecting Ghanaians, such as employment, 24-hour economy that can be implemented, roads that need to be constructed, teachers and nurses' salaries, and the hardships of Ghanaians. Additionally, cocoa farmers' payments have been cut, Galamsey has been on the rise, and there are many more socioeconomic problems. You have achieved nothing, so there's nothing to celebrate. All right. Thank you very much, Teacher Kujo. Another one here, this is Okai from Bantama in the Sene West District. The city has performed poorly despite the massive interventions reportedly around $11 billion, which will raise serious concerns about the policy direction of this NDC government. If such huge resources have been deployed with little lasting impact, then we must ask whether this approach is truly delivering value rather than exposing the state to avoidable financial risks. As the saying goes, you don't strengthen the tree by pulling it upward, but by its nurturing roots. Let's focus on building a resilient economy through strong fundamentals and not temporary fixes. A few more of the messages. Now, this one is from Echo de Soso, or aka Okoto Rasta from Bodriase. Woe unto those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, and who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. The book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 20. When communicators praise the performance of John Dramani Mahame's administration while ignoring the lived experience of the populace, they are not only engaging in mere spin, they are embodying this every inversion of the truth, branding the struggle as success and bitterness as sweet and darkness as light. A nation's progress is not measured by the eloquent rhetoric, but by real life of its people. To deny the reality is not just a distortion, it's a moral offense that invites woe that the scripture warns against. All right, let me do some more here. There's another one here that says, good morning, Mr. Host. Okay, very well. Yes. I'm trying to retrieve this text. Thank you. Good one, Mr. Host. The current economy is not real. It's artificially sustained by the Bank of Ghana through the gold board buying gold at very high prices and selling at lower prices. This situation is resulting in losses for both the Bank of Ghana and the gold board. The reduction in borrowing is mainly because the finance ministry is not spending. As we speak, trained teachers and nurses are at home without postings. And what happened to the automatic posting policy? Teachers who have worked more than 14 months have still not received their salaries. Where is the Women's Bank? Where is the 24-hour economy policy? This is from Kweku Baku Jr. of Fuase in the Santiachim South District. Okay. There's a message from Yahaya. Right, let me try to... Okay. Good morning. Even though the city is under pressure, I trust it to regain strength, hence even performing better to shame the enemies of progress, because we have capable hands controlling affairs of Bank of Ghana headed by Dr. Johnson Panditisiama and the Ministry of Finance backed by the disciplined President John Dramani Mahama. Unlike the previous reckless and incompetent MPP government. Papa Bisu, Spintex. Okay. Akonsi Gariba from Tamale. All things the NDC claim they have done as good managers for Ghana are failing, especially the fuel prices, the Galamsey, and the Ghana City. Sadly, the NDC administration has become more defensive instead of problem solvers. Thank you very much, Akonsi Gariba. He says greetings to Alhaji Dr. Baumia. Okay. If Galamsey operators don't have reliable buyers, why is it increasing in the activity? This is from Jennifer Ajwalimande. Thank you very much for all of the messages. One of our texters spoke about the Women's Bank, and that is one area we want to focus on this morning as well. And the second part of the conversations here on Prime Morning. Now, all right, so just before we go, I mean, that's an area we didn't really touch on. It's something we're going to touch on in the coming days. But generally, the framework is there. Women, first of all, in terms of the last population and housing census, you know, featured in about 50+% of the population. And of course, when it comes to informal sector as well, you have a lot of women participating. That then means that the thought behind the establishment of this Women's Bank is to go to be a support system for all of these women who operate within that sector of the economy. And so obviously we're expecting its implementation to come and make major interventions. Quick ones before we wrap up, just grab.
Like you did mention, the population of women, I mean, far outweighs that of men. And so therefore there's a need for a conscious effort in uplifting women. Of course, the economic gap between men and women is also something that is so wide that women are far below the ladder. When you are checking about the top 10, top 20, top 50 rich people in Ghana, I'm not sure you see a woman up there. It tells you that there's a need for intervention. When you look at the 24-hour economy, clearly it is to do such a thing. Is to intervene to ensure that we empower women economically. Most of them are having brilliant ideas, but the financial capital is not there. This particular policy is coming to ensure that, one, it gives women the opportunity for employment, because it is a structure that is going to employ only women. The cashier is going to be a woman. The bank manager is going to be a woman. The drivers, the police officers who are going to man those, banks are all going to be women. Now, one of the important aspects that I find it interesting and so important is the fact that each and every single 24 economy markets in our various districts would have a section dedicated for 24-hour economy bank, for Women Development Bank. This is so, a brilliant idea. And those who, the framers, I think they need applause. In a sense that, one, it gives women access to trading. Immediately after trading, you have access to the bank that you can deposit, or you also have access to be able to go in and access loan. Now, about 450 million has been allocated to as startup capital, seed capital, which shows that there is commitment to establishing this Women Development Bank. And like we've always said, it's going to be time over time, because you don't just get up in a day and create a 24-hour economy market. It's also a poverty alleviation for women. When you come to the north, my brother, and you see what our women are going through, you understand that the reason why it is such a welcoming idea across women, in the northern part of the country. So it's a brilliant idea, and let's see how we use it to alleviate the poverty within our sector.
Thank you, Gafaro. Thank you so much. I appreciate comments. Yeah.
Some of these things that we know that it's supposed to come in to provide credit facility to women, like Gafari said, women empowerment, foster inclusion, and then all that, and then support economic development. It is also a way of trying to, if you may, improve the financial inclusion bridge, bridging the gap of almost about 11% to men when it comes to in terms of loans that are taken from some of these banking facilities and all that. But the critical concerns has always been that why not leverage the existing facilities that are the infrastructure that are there to give this monies to women than creating a holistically a new institution.
So you don't
to
believe that we need a whole institution to...
Because if the BOJ have leads with the existing infrastructures and then the banks and all that, and I think they could have provided this money, not necessarily we have a whole bank on its own.
Thank you, Kweku, for those thoughts. Kwame?
I kind of side with Kweku, why we didn't leverage on the existing banks, which has been done elsewhere. Of course, elsewhere there are also dedicated Women Development Bank. But something that Gafaro mentioned, which I think is a misunderstanding of the whole concept, right? And it's similar to what the president said over the weekend, saying that in his time, if there was STEM, he would have done, engineering or whatever course that he said he was going to do. Science, technology, and engineering has always been there. The fact that we are giving it a name now, STEM, doesn't mean it wasn't there. So what is it about? The fact that we are opening a women bank doesn't mean only solely women are going to work there. It is not done anywhere in the world. All the other women banks that are there, you put the qualified people that will be able to help the women. This is not a sexist or a gender-based thing that we are doing here. We are trying to improve the lives of women that are living in conditions that are not good enough. And if it will take a man with a qualification to help them, what is wrong with it? And I don't think it's going to be what he's saying. It's just a misunderstanding of the concept. But for me, yes, the decision already been made. They didn't, ride on existing infrastructure.
Gafar, before he continues, before he wraps up, so it means you need to get him as a consultant.
This is being
get him as a consultant.
It's rather failing the concept.
This is being too slow. If the concept is gender-based, then I think you guys have missed the boat.
Then we shouldn't have girls' school and then men's school.
This has nothing to do with girls' school.
We shouldn't have that.
You know what I mean? He missed the concept.
No,
this has nothing to do with girls and boys' school.
No, I'm saying
Anyway, let me continue.
This is solely for women, and women know their own problems. Let them solve their problems. Empower them, give them the opportunity. Let them. If I gender-based, this is our policy. It's a gender-based. It's a gender-based. Men will not have access to the bank.
We're back here.
No.
And you will confirm that men.
The workers' self will be women.
Oh, come on.
The workers serve with the women.
Let me finish.
Very quick one in 40 seconds.
In 40 seconds. For me, we've made a decision to do this, but it's going too slow. The president mentioned the weekend that 450 million cedis is still sat somewhere in the bank. Now, what it tells me is that the application with the with Bank of Ghana, has not finalized. The first phase, there are two phases, right? You get the provisional licenses, and then you have to set up the place, and then they will come and check, and then you get the actual licenses. Now, whilst you are setting up the place, the 400 million, that is the startup capital, will still be locked, right? And then you have to set up the place with a different amount, different funds. Yeah. So if you have 450 million, why are you blocking all the 450 million? It only tells me that they are not done at the provisional phase. If you have been in power
in 30 seconds
for 17 good months, and this is one of your key policies, and for 17 months you are still not gone through the first phase, then I wait for this.
In 30 seconds.
Quick one. In fact, 10.
I was thinking that they should be applauding NDC for having, a clear policy attention towards uplifting women. In a sense, look,
Gafaru,
even
we'll
our
come back to this
appointments, Mohammed's appointees, women takes about 23.2% in appointments.
We'll come back to these subjects again. The subject of the Women's Development Bank is one that would expand, right here on the show. So I'd like to say thank you to all of you. Thank you, A.F. Gafaru, for joining us. Thank you, Kweku Edubuahin and Kwame Prempeh. Thank you so much.
Say hello to my people who vote for me as a national organization.
No, but we are done. So when you come tomorrow, you come and do